Hello and welcome to the Phoenix 5-0 Info Show. I'm your host, Lieutenant Vince Lewis, coming to you from Phoenix Police Headquarters in beautiful downtown Phoenix, joined as always by my co-host, PIO Sergeant Rob Scherer. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, boss. Good
Excellent.
to be here again.
Yeah, and I got a haircut.
Yes, you did. Looks great.
Thanks. We're going to talk today with our special guest, Sergeant Jen Zack. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you're stepping in for Sergeant Brian Bauer, who is assigned to the Silent Witness Detail. But you have a case that you'd like to discuss. We're looking for assistance from the community with tips or information about a case. Is that right?
That is correct. That is correct. This week's case is actually an old homicide that happened about 2 years ago, early morning hours on July 4th of 2021. All we have in this is a short video clip that we can show you here shortly. And we have a male that was in an argument with another individual. He ended up getting shot and was found deceased. The male in the video, there's another male in the video that you can see wearing a black shirt that is fleeing the scene shortly after. So we are looking for him to question him further on this incident. Very limited information. The cameras were actually quite a bit away, so at one portion of that, we'll actually zoom in so you can see a little bit closer to what actually happened.
Okay, and tell me again where this took place?
This actually took place in the area of 3400 West Whitten here in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix area.
Okay, do you know the area well enough to kind of talk about what type of neighborhood it is?
It's somewhat of an industrial area, so there's a lot of industrial buildings, maybe some commercial vehicles and things that are out there, semi-trucks.
Okay, and what part of, or what time of the day was this?
This was about 4 in the morning.
Okay, so it's dark.
So it's still dark outside, yes. Still dark outside even though it was summertime.
Okay, and the day of the week, I'm sorry to hit you with all these questions, but
No,
the reason I'm asking is that because if somebody were to remember that day or that time, it might help to understand like what, the environment might have been like if it was dark, if it was light out, if it was easily visible, if somebody was lurking in the shadows, that kind of a thing. So this is early in the morning.
Right, early in the morning, and it was an early Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, not a lot of people working in that area at that time, so there's not going to be a lot of traffic, but we're hoping that maybe somebody was in the area, somebody drove by, somebody walked by, or somebody happened to go to work that morning and see or hear anything.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, sometimes people are a little hesitant to call in and give us information because they think we already know.
Right.
But when we ask for help from the community through Silent Witness, usually it's a point where we will take any information, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Reference this case or really any others, and you kind of hit on it a little bit. But what level of information are we looking for? Like, does it need to be a certain amount? Does it need to be, hey, I know who this person is, or hey, I may have saw that? Like, are we taking anything and everything that can potentially help on a case like this, or what exactly are you guys taking with Silent Witness?
In this case, we don't really have a lot to go on at all, so any information that you may have, whether you recognize maybe the bike that's seen in the video, or you recognize the individual that was found deceased in the video, we do know who he is, but maybe you know some of his acquaintances that were in the area at the time, or maybe somebody in that area has talked to the individuals involved. Maybe it's another individual that he knows that was in the area at the time and saw him interacting with other people in the area. That can help. Even if you recognize maybe the shirt that he was wearing or the shirt that the individual that we're looking to question was wearing, anything like that will help us. Anything.
So this is like a 2-year-old homicide case, and the victim's name, I'm sorry, once again, the victim's name is?
It's Dante Barge, and he's a 40-year-old male.
Okay. About 30th Avenue and Whitten, you said?
34th Avenue and Whitten.
Okay. And so in order to see the video, for those that are listening on the radio, where can they go to see the video connected to this case? Is it going to be on silentwitness.org?
Yeah, you can go to the website at silentwitness.org. You can view the video there, and we're also playing it on our YouTube channel, so you'll see it there as well.
Okay. All right. So after watching the video and seeing this or seeing any case, typically what we request from the community is any type of information about this or any other unsolved case, and they can remain completely anonymous. We don't want them coming to the station to report this in person because that takes away their anonymity, right?
Right, correct.
So, but there's other outlets where you can submit your information to Silent Witness either by phone or by computer. What do they call it when the computers talk to each other in the space, the cyberspace?
Yeah, the internet.
Artificial
Yes,
internet intelligence.
Yeah. You can submit your tips over the internet, right?
Right.
Tell us what you know about the Silent Witness program and how somebody might have some information about this case or any other case. How does that get to us, the police?
Sure. The information is reported. You can report anonymously. You can call 480-WITNESS or 480-TESTIGO for Spanish. You can call it in that way. You can go to silentwitness.org. When you report it, you can remain anonymous. You don't have to provide your name, but if you do provide us that information and the information that you give us leads us to who this individual is, you might be eligible to a reward currently up to about $2,000. So there are different ways that you can do it. If you want to come into a station, that's absolutely fine. Just remember that you won't remain anonymous at that point because we'll actually see you and be able to talk to you in person.
Yeah. Do you know much about the anonymity portion of the Silent Witness program?
Yeah, I mean, it's being an investigator, and I was in investigations for a little while. We talk about it every time. It's my claim to fame. I like to mention it in every episode.
That's why I keep you around.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, Silent Witness is an invaluable tool. I mean, a lot of times in investigations, we get to that point where that proverbial brick wall where we hit it and we're trying to get through and we're trying to find that piece. A lot of times it's this tiny little breadcrumb of information that comes from Silent Witness that comes through this program and comes to an investigator exactly what's said. Obviously, when we get it as investigators, there's no information on the caller. It does state caller is okay with contact or caller's not okay with contact. But even if a caller's okay with contact, it's not readily available. We will then, as investigators, reach out if that's an option. If it's not, it's not. We take that information, we use it in conjunction with the other stuff we gathered in this case, which I'm sure Homicide has other stuff to comparatively work with information. But when we're at this point, we need that breadcrumb to allow us to take all these other puzzle pieces and put it together. It's invaluable in almost all investigations, to include, Homicide uses them routinely. Almost all violent crimes will use Silent Witness, and like Sarge said, with homicides, it's right up at 2,000 right away. So.
And with the valuable information that a tipster submits and anonymously to these cases, do they get called to testify? Are we outing them in any way, or are they? What do we do beyond that to keep them from?
Silent
because
Witness,
they got to be worried about somebody knowing that they know something.
Absolutely. Silent Witness is absolutely anonymous. Like, investigators don't know to be able to put it into reports in any way, shape, or form. And it really is us as investigators. We get it, and we get the information that's provided, not the person, not who said it, not how they know this victim or the suspect. We don't know any of that. It literally is just the information that we can work off of. And even as it goes through the adjudication process and goes through court and testimony, they're not called to testify because they're not in the actual criminal report. A lot of this information, like we say, it leads to an arrest. It allows us to get to that point of an arrest, but it's not the end all be all of these investigations. Like we say on everything when we talk about investigations, it's one of those pieces. A lot of times these Silent Witness tips are that piece that allows us to transition and put the whole puzzle piece together, that's what we're looking for. Get justice for our victims, serve our community. Obviously, if you live in this area, it's not something you want in your area, albeit 2 years ago. You want these things solved, these individuals in your area to be safe, and that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. So the case of the homicide case of Dante, who was murdered near 34th Avenue in Whitten, and this was about 2 years ago, you said?
Yeah, about 2.5 years ago.
Okay, 2.5 years ago. So, and the reward is up to $2,000 depending on the value of the tip and whether or not it leads to an arrest. That's important information. It's all important information.
Yes.
It's not typical because most of the Silent Witness cases, as I understand it, is a reward up to $1,000 on felony cases and then warrants count too. So if somebody's got a felony warrant, I would just instruct anybody to go to silentwitness.org and look at the cases and kind of familiarize themselves, and maybe they've got information that could earn them a cash reward, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other cases that are also posted there. So if they see something else on there that, hey, I recognize this person, it truly has helped in a lot of cases for us.
Yeah, in some of the cases, there's some private organizations, victims' families, community members, they'll raise funds and add that to any particular case to up the potential reward there.
There is a potential for that, yes. And in some cases they have.
Yeah, and we won't get into the details of how that that tipster gets connected to the case and that reward gets paid out, but no names are exchanged, and it's very sophisticated, almost spy-like. I've heard it described as the way that these tipsters are held anonymous and compensated for the information.
Yeah, it's a process that, when I say it keeps you anonymous all the way through, even the point of collecting a reward, if one is given out in that case to a tipster, you're anonymous the entire way through. At no point are you coming in contact with an investigator that's part of this investigation, Or really, I mean, the silent witness call takers don't even know your name if you're not giving it. You know what I mean? The anonymity is there with this program, and that's what makes it valuable. Because let's be honest, I mean, there's people out there that don't want to give police information for what might happen, and that's just the reality sometimes. This is huge for investigations. This allows us to, give peace to this victim's family, give closure, solve a homicide case, or sexual assault or another violent crime, whatever happens to be that case at that time. But it gives us the opportunity to do that and bring closure to a case in circumstances where maybe we wouldn't have, because that tipster isn't willing to come through and talk to us.
Sergeant Zack, we're talking with Sergeant Zack. You're currently in patrol, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you've got the information. You brought the case to forward to discuss today for the silent witness. Review with me one more time the basics of the homicide of Dante.
Sure. Early morning hours on Sunday, July 4th of 2021, our victim Dante was seen on video in a verbal argument with another individual who fled the scene. Shortly after the scene, Dante was discovered deceased at the location. This occurred in the area of 3400 West Whitten Avenue here in Phoenix. And again, it was early morning hours, Sunday early morning. It's an industrial area, so there's a lot of commercial buildings, some commercial vehicles, but anybody that might be in that area that would have information that can share with us, again, they can contact 480-WITNESS or 480-TESTIGO. They can even go to silentwitness.org, look through this case, look through other cases, and they can remain completely anonymous.
That's great. Thanks. Do we know much about Dante? Do we know much about what he might have done and lived in the area, or is any of that information available to share right now, or are we just looking for tips on the crime?
Right. Currently, I don't have any of that information available for you, but we do know that Dante in this video was an individual. If you see the video on our website, he was wearing a red shirt. And you'll see another individual wearing a black shirt. That's the one that we're interested in that left the scene. So if you do see that, other than that, we don't really have much other information that we can share on Dante at this time.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, in specific, just to get to this, like there's no suspects. Like if someone says, hey, I know the person in that black shirt, like it's not like we're running out and arresting someone just off a silent witness tip, right?
Correct. We're still working on building the case. We do need some additional information, but any information will help.
Yeah, we need it. I mean, like I said, being from investigations, this was when we get to that proverbial brick wall, that part of that case where a lot of these initial methods of investigation, stop, and we're kind of at the end of leads. We need these leads to track down stuff. Nothing's too small. Don't assume we already have it. If you know someone that said, oh, I might have told the police this, don't presume they know it. Let us know. Be put in this pool of potential reward. Give us the information to allow us to bring closure to these cases.
Awesome. We got a little bit of time left, Sergeant Zack. Can I call you Jen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just easier.
Where are you working out of right now?
Right now I work out of the Desert Horizon Precinct. I work in the 61 area.
And that's what are the cross streets of the Desert Horizon Precinct?
Cross streets, Desert Horizon Precinct goes basically from about the 101 on the south side all the way down to about Highland area and Camelback. And then from I-17 roughly over to 51, we kind of go back and forth across the borders a little bit. My specific area is actually just south of Glendale to Highland.
Okay.
So great area. It's right where I started my career. I was an officer in training in the 61 area as well. So it's good to be back in a leadership position there. So
awesome. Well, great. Welcome back. We'll probably bring you back onto the show to talk about other things.
Oh, fantastic. I'd love to.
Thanks for sharing that case with us, Sergeant Zack. I want to thank my co-host, Sergeant Rob Shearer.
Of course.
I want to thank the crew for helping to produce this. And remember, as always, you can help fight crime in your community by sending tips to silentwitness.org. Visit silentwitness.org or call 480-WITNESS. Follow us on all social media platforms. Check out joinphxpd.com. We're hiring. And then, of course, phoenix.gov/police. Until next time, remember, we're all in this together.